love my job and I love First Take. You know what proof is? You know what proof in the pudding is that no matter how cold it is outside, I'm happy to be here. And why am I happy to be here? It's because of the people that I got beside me in studio. I got my girl Shay looking just as good as you want to look, handling your business. Go ahead, girl. I got my man RC. Look at the suit, y'all. Check out the suit. Check out the suit. And then there's this dude.
Oh, Theo.
First Take.
Tonight, Ole Miss and Miami are going to square up in the college football playoff semifinal game. We'll get to that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to First Take. Ryan Clark is here. Why does he always do that to you, Dan?
I think it's a jealousy thing.
Is that what it is?
I think that's like, this is the guy that I want to be, so let me pick on him.
That is the most ignorant statement he's ever made in his life. He's not appreciating what true love is. I love my brother here.
That's
you know what I'm saying? So that's what that's what we do. You know, when you love somebody.
It's like when a coach, when we're athletes, we were often taught as kids, like, listen, when the coach is on you all the time, it means he
don't talk to you.
That's a bad.
You don't matter.
No doubt.
So that's
You're just irrelevant.
Huh? That's what this is?
Something like that.
That's what it is when he picks on your
Don't go that far. Don't go that far.
Okay. And Stephen A is here as well. Of course, this is First Take. We're going to get into it. CFP rolls along tonight. Cannot wait. The Hurricanes in action against the Ole Miss Rebels. Look, the Hurricanes have pulled off not one but two upset wins to make it to the Final Four. They beat both Texas A&M and Ohio State, but they will have their work cut out for them tonight because those Rebels are red hot. They lost Lane Kiffin for LSU, and tonight they will not have their tight ends or wide receiver coach as well. They've been called back to Baton Rouge with Lane Kiffin, who will coach them in the future. The Rebels OC and running backs coach are now in a similar situation, but they will be there for tonight's game. It's a bit of a mess, and it's raising eyebrows among other head coaches, including Texas A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher. Listen to this.
No, it's selfish. That's what it is. It's stupid. And because here's why I say that. He wanted to coach and thought he didn't get his way. So everybody get on the plane with me, you don't have a job. Then he says, okay, you can go back. But here's where he screwed up.
He thought they were going to lose.
He thought they were going to lose to Georgia,
Exactly.
and then the portal thing was all over with, and it was going to be all over with. And he said, okay, I'll look like a hero. Yeah. Now he's got egg on his face because the real Lane came back out. Because those kids are doing something that you get one time in your life to ever do.
Literally.
That team and those guys, one time. And as a coach, listen, I know I've left a job. I get that. But if you took them on and said they're never coming back, that's fine. You set the rules of the game. You don't change the rules in the middle of the game. And as a coach, it's hurting the kids, and it pisses me off.
Okay, Jimbo. I hear you, buddy. I hear you. Let's react to what we just heard from Jimbo Fisher. So as we mentioned, a bit of a mess to get to this point. There's coaches all over the place. Nonetheless, Lane is at LSU, and now we've got Ole Miss coaching for a spot in the national championship game.
Jimbo Fisher is 1,000% right. Lane Kiffin looks very, very bad, and all the words that came out of his mouth about caring about the kids and stuff like that just goes right out the window. And it's a damn shame. I'm one of those people that has always supported Lane Kiffin moving to LSU. I said that was absolutely the right move to make, and I stand by that. But him as a football coach, how exceptional he has been and how he deserves all the credit for where Ole Miss is right now as a football team, because he built the program, obviously, over the previous 6 years. He hired the coaches, et cetera. That goes, that's separate and apart from you as the person and what people have said about you. And at a time where you have every opportunity to not remind people of those character flaws others have said you had, here you go reminding them. You talked about the kids, right? My attitude is this. Either the coaches are allowed to coach or they're not. Mm-hmm. You don't let them coach against Georgia or anybody else, but then all of a sudden you're going to pull them when you're in the Final Four. You either let them coach through the duration until Ole Miss season is over, or you don't. Whatever decision you make it up front and you live with it. If he said, nope, whoever's coming with me now, we're not going to coach Ole Miss. You might not have liked it, but you understood it. We're at LSU now. We're not with Ole Miss now, and that's that. Or when you said go ahead and coach, let them coach until it's over. But to sit up there and have them coaching against Georgia, and then now here you are when they're about to go up against Miami and they not be allowed to coach. That level of inconsistency, that lack of continuity with the people that's involved, et cetera, who knows what kind of damage that could do. And I think it's unfortunate that he put himself in a position where he's the one making this kind of decision, and that's just how I look at it.
I agree with Jimbo Fisher 100%. I agree with everything that he said is accurate. I think, number one, I also don't want to be a hypocrite When Lane Kiffin chose to go to LSU, I was one of those people who said, absolutely, go. And his hands were tied with the timing because the college football calendar is destroyed. It's a joke. So he was left with the decision of, do I chase this job that I believe, and most people tell me, is going to give me a better chance to win a national championship and achieve that dream, or do I stay? Okay, so like I was one of those people who said his hands were tied, go. I don't want to be a hypocrite with that. But the other thing is this. One of the things that I try to teach my kids and impress upon them all the time is just do the next right thing, right? It's a life motto. Just do the next right thing. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to regret some decisions. Just do the next right thing. And this was an opportunity for Lane Kiffin and in this process to just do the next right thing. Because my sitting back going, why? Your program at LSU right now is not going to be negatively impacted if the assistant coaches or some positional coaches don't get there for the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's not going to get impacted in March, April, May. It's certainly not going to be negatively impacted in September. And so I do think this was an opportunity for Lane Kiffin to sit there and say, I understand that this did not go ideally well with me leaving in the middle of this playoff run. You may like it, hate me, all. Coaches, go, stay. We'll figure out the rest of this when this run is done because that's what's best for the kids. And I think that's Jimbo Fisher's point, and he's 100% right.
I think the thing that we all have to remember is there's 2 sets of kids that Lane Kiffin is responsible for now.
Sure.
He's responsible for those young men at Ole Miss who, without their efforts, he wouldn't have a job at LSU. He's also responsible for the young men he'll steward going forward at LSU. And I disagree with some of what Jimbo said. And Jimbo was my offensive coordinator in college.
Okay.
Jimbo called him stupid. He's actually not. He's extremely intelligent. Jimbo called him fake. I think that he's probably problematically authentic to himself. And he called him selfish, and that part is true. The selfishness is going to LSU. It's understanding that it's a better job. It's knowing that you've been 10-3, you've been 11-2, and you didn't get opportunities to be in the college football playoff. And a team like LSU gets to that point and they get in. Also, how do y'all know the plan changed? How do y'all know that so many people are saying you can't pull them now? But what if that was always the plan? What if the plan was Charlie Weiss Jr., who wanted to stay and coach, got an opportunity to stay and coach and still be on the payroll at LSU? Running backs coach Kevin Smith wanted to stay and coach, and he had the opportunity to do that, still being paid by LSU. The tight ends coach and the wide receivers coach, it was always the plan for them to leave at this point so they can do their job to steward and set up and represent and gain and acquire those kids that they will be responsible to at LSU. LSU wanted Lane Kiffin to coach in the college football playoff. Keith Carter made that decision. And in making that decision, Pete Golding and Lane Kiffin have communicated from the very start the exact way this process would go. Now, if you're saying, as Lane Kiffin, as an ode to the kids, as saying to themselves, you have earned this, and now I will step outside of myself and the plan that was put in place, and I want those coaches to continue coaching there, then that's something I can understand. But for us to build this narrative that this man changed in the middle of what was going on is wrong, especially when you don't know.
Let me chime in, and then I'll get you because I'll let you elaborate. First of all, I certainly am not trying to imply that Lane Kiffin is stupid. So I'm not. I wasn't.
I'm not saying you.
I'm saying. And when I say I agree with Jimbo Fisher, I agree with his premise that it was wrong. Yeah. But the particulars, the words that he used and stuff like, no, I'm not going that route. What I will say, however, is this: what you're saying, what you just articulated, excellent. And nobody can say anything to Lane Kiffin if that's exactly what happened. The problem is with Lane Kiffin, whoever believes it to be that simple. Because Lane Kiffin's history has shown that he could be a bit disingenuous. Mm-hmm. He could be a bit hypocritical. I mean, landing spots, Tennessee, the Raiders, et cetera, even with Alabama. I mean, Nick Saban fired him the week of the national championship game because he wasn't on his P's and Q's. And he was a bit distracted. And so when you take his history into consideration, I get where you're coming from. Now it comes down to one key question.